Have you ever thought about leaving behind your 9-to-5 job and taking up slaying? Well, your answer doesn't really matter because in this universe, personal choice is an illusion anyway. Conan Exiles has everything you would ever dream of. The combat is brutal. Enemies become followers and followers could become your lovers. You can build giant bases. The lore is thick and the text scrolls make your skin crawl.
We can always use more servants.
Employ involuntary workers, practice religion, explore dungeons with loot and bosses to beat. You can tame pets, and most importantly, there's an option to enable full nudity. The game starts like many others, with you being exiled to some strange lands due to some crimes you may or may not have committed.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Being exiled in gaming is like being the anime protagonist with no parents.
I made my family disappear.
It's a good clean slate for you to shape your character into whatever degeneracy you want them to become. Like any good Christian game, we start things off on a cross. After morphing our body to acceptable standards, we are saved from being Jesused by none other than the titular Conan himself.
Your lives are not nailed to
He even
your
drops a
spines.
bun and frees us from the cross. Conan then refuses to elaborate and disappears into the sandstorm. Thus begins our journey into the exiled lands. There are a few different ways to play the game depending on the type of person you are. Single player mode works well once you up the gathering rates a little bit, and who needs friends anyway if you can raise a personal army instead.
I am sworn to carry your burdens.
Multiplayer supports co-op mode wonderfully, so this is the best way to go if you happen to have friends. After all, friends that slay together, stay together. You can host your own server or join one of the official servers, which I would not recommend since they are officially one of the 9 circles of hell. Alternatively, you could join some of the hosted dedicated servers with varying rates and server admins who may or may not allow to misuse the minuscule amount of power they have. If you happen to have psychopathic tendencies and love hurting others and small animals,
Don't worry about it. We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
join up with some PvP servers. Now, I wasn't hurt as a child, so I'm not a big PvP guy myself, but what I do know is that you can build trebuchets. These bad boys can launch a 90kg projectile over 300 meters, so PvP must be a satisfying experience. While most survival games lean heavily towards either PvE or PvP, I believe Conan managed to play both sides pretty well. So PvE is more than just a camping simulator. I've also heard stories of role-playing servers where the theater kids go to act out their wildest fantasies of slavery and servitude. Or you could just leave out your own power fantasy in a single-player world and convert enemies into your personal harem. I won't tell anyone. The main map of Exiled Lands is divided into multiple biomes. You start the adventure from the Noob River and work your way up. The more north you go, the harsher the environment becomes and the worse enemies you'll have to face. While there's no distinct main story or quest to follow, there are journal challenges that gently nudge you towards the ultimate goal of quitting the game. Throughout the world, there are strategically placed notes and pillars that tell you the stories of fallen civilizations and the woes of people inhabiting these hostile lands.
Destruction of the brain.
Anything you see, you can climb. Almost anyone you see, you can convert to your cause with a few gentle nudges applied to the head area. While most of the inhabitants are hostile towards you, there are some friendlier faces here and there.
Stay your hand, stranger. Come, look into the pit.
Usually they have some lore to dump on you, which is great because whilst not all the voice acting is great, pretty much all the script and interactions are well acted.
Echo of an echo. In my mind, I still walk the streets of our city. The iron scent of blood as I pass the temple of the old serpent. The thrumming power in my veins as I chant the ritual of summoning. The intoxication and ecstasy of knowledge.
There are even a few larger areas with non-hostile humans.
So you live, and we meet again.
Although you better not wander into the bad parts of the town. Exploration is usually rewarded with loot, even in the more remote areas of the map, and that to me is the mark of a great exploration game. Whilst that loot is often little more than garbage, I take solace in the fact that my curiosity is rewarded by the game. Even if sometimes curiosity kills the cat. Combat starts out brutally difficult. You have your choice of weapons from fists to swords to spears to bows to bombs to followers. You can't tank much damage, especially in the beginning. So making good use of dodging, blocking or stunning the enemy is essential. You will die a lot. Thankfully, placing spawn points in the form of bedrolls is easy, and you can have your main spawn point in your base in the form of a bed. Building a base is a lot of fun, but almost optional in a PvE scenario. There's a mechanic of birds where NPCs attack your base, but this rarely happens, and you can track its progress on the status bar. Other than that, you can place your crafting stations wherever you want, however you want. You'll probably end up building a few bases around the world during your expeditions, since the map is quite large and varied, with some region-locked resources. Equipment with 5 different pieces of armor and weapons is relatively straightforward, and you'll either craft your way through the tiers or simply loot the goods off the corpses of your enemies. Building and equipment schematics have to be unlocked with levels or found in the world. There's also a pretty balanced stat system that's relatively basic, but allows you to choose your own playstyle by increasing your strength, agility, or power of friendship. For a good measure, reallocating stats is readily available later in the game, so you don't have to worry too much about being built right. If something is not to your liking, Conan Exiles also has an extensive mod support. Whether you want more building items, readjusted stats, or the modding community has got your back.
Wow!
One of the first things you'll discover when killing enemies is that you can harvest them for meat, even if they're humans.
Smell that!
Cannibalism is a valid way of life here in the exiled lands. There's even a whole religion centered around it. Yoga rewards ritualistic eating of other humans, and their altar is a big warm campfire. This is Yog's avatar, which you can summon in the game once you have earned a honorary cannibal status. If you didn't catch up yet, it's inspired by Lovecraft. Most of the other 6 gods are not much tamer.
Can you imagine the smell?
Followers of their ghetto worship both sex and death, often at the same time.
Computer sentences them to death! By Snoo!
Sat is just a huge spider, so choose your poison wisely. Speaking of spiders, the enemy models in this game are absolutely great. Boss of this dungeon lures you in with an alluring voice, but turns out to be a giant poisonous slug. I still shiver every time I encounter this giant spider in the world. Dark caves are populated by imps or bat demons, and don't get me started on the swamp. Almost everything is hostile towards you, even the savanna is full of dangerous animals ready to pounce on you. Which makes finally seeing a friendly face after climbing half a mountain all the more reassuring.
Do not let me spoil this moment for you, stranger. To conquer a peak such as this is no small thing.
There are some poor souls in exiled lands who, just like you, are down on their luck and want to do better. It's pretty damn hard though when just below there are 5 monsters waiting for you to come down. On the bright side, no matter what you do, exploration, crafting and building, or just plain old killing, everything earns you experience. Will you persist and carry on with your journey, you will become Death, the destroyer of worlds yourself. The game is now 5 years old and is one of the few survival games that has had consistent updates throughout its life. Trust me, I have a problem with survival games. There have been, are, and will be bugs, so if you can't eat those, you might want to steer clear here. Conan Exiles also has many minor DLCs, but they're strictly cosmetic and they are even fairly priced. There's a battle pass and in-game coins too, but they are cosmetic and non-intrusive. The only major DLC is Isle of Sita, which is another map should you get tired of that first one. It's smaller than the main map and more focused on PvP with the way it's laid out centrally rather than vertically. But if you get too far into the game, you might want to consider it for a change of pace. A major update called Age of War just dropped and it's only the first part of the 3 planned updates, overhauling combat, loot, sorcery and more. Editing this video took a lot of effort. Psst, give it a like. And a lot of teleporting around the map looking for video snippets to use. Surprisingly, teleporting and flying around in the exiled lands reignited my spark for the game once again, even though I'm nearing 500 hours in it throughout the years. That alone should be a testament to how good of an exploration game it really is. Honestly, the game is just fun, so give it a try if you too would like to.
Live. Love. Burn with life. Slay and survive. We will meet again.